Hello, everyone. Welcome back to what is the final video for our class on Ethics and Science, Philosophy 2600. I have a PowerPoint slide for you today, which will come at the end. The rest of this video is all about our final. Last week, when I recorded my lectures, I had promised that I was going to do 2 lectures this week to sum up the course themes and then one about the final. As I was writing my scripts, as I was pulling together PowerPoints and things to talk about, it all sort of ran together anyway. And so I'm keeping it to 1 video this week, and we have no readings for the week because all I'm doing for this is giving you the questions for the final and then turning you loose on it to get things ready at your own pace. We'll talk about it when I pull up the questions document for the final, but I'm giving you all the information ahead of time so that you can do well. With that said, I'll share my screen and we'll go ahead and look at that document together. I caught a few errors the last few times I've done this, so hopefully there aren't any more of those. Here we go, ethics and science. So, a few notes up top. The final is not in the exact format of the midterm. I've changed a few things. We still have 3 sections of equal weight. We have multiple choice, short answer, and an essay question. The big difference here, there's 2. One is that instead of 10 short answer questions of 1 point each, I'm doing 5 short answer questions of 2 points each. The reason I'm doing it this way is because as I was grading those the last time on the midterm, I ended up giving some people like half a point here, 3/4 of a point there, and this is just simpler so I can give you 0 points, 1 point, or 2 points as things are needed. It's also less work for you because the short answer questions are still the same length. They're 3 to 5 sentences, but you don't have to spend as long on it. I got a little bit of feedback that the midterm was quite long, and I agree, it was. And so we've shortened things up a little bit there. For the essay question, and you'll see this when we get to the bottom here, instead of having 1 prompt, I'm giving you 5, and I want you to choose one. It is also a little bit longer because this is the final and therefore more challenging than the midterm, even if it holds the same grade weight as the midterm. I want you to write 500 words instead of 250. Again, I'm giving this to you really far ahead of time, so please don't open this up at 11:59 on April 30th and hope that you can finish it all in under a minute. You'll fail. But I'm giving you the questions several weeks in advance. What else? Exam questions are pulled mostly from the back half of the class, so everything after the midterm, and that would be modules 5 through 7. But there are a few questions from before the midterm, and the reason I'm doing that is because there are a few things that I think are super relevant to course themes that I wanted to include again. Other than that, I want to tell you again up front here that you are encouraged to use all the course materials, all the lecture videos, notes you might have, anything to find answers when going through this. I also suggest, and you don't have to follow this suggestion, that for anything that you have to do any writing, you write that up in Word ahead of time and then copy and paste it into the Canvas page for this, because Canvas is a system that has given a lot of us problems over this last year, and I want to make sure that Canvas doesn't cause you to fail your final. So type it up in Word and then paste it in. Also, to give you some leeway with computer issues, I'm giving everybody 2 attempts for this, but I know that sometimes even with that, computers still hiccup, the internet sometimes doesn't work, all of that. So I have my email and my phone number on here. If when you are going through it, you're having problems with it, get in touch with me. I'm not going to be available on the 19th, 21st, or 23rd of April because I'm taking my comprehensive exams for my PhD on those days. But any other day, I'm available to you within reasonable limits. Don't text me at midnight, and I will help you with whatever issue you are having trying on the technical side of trying to upload your final. Other than that, it's due on the 30th. I can't accept late work for this. The university gives me a very short window to turn grades around for this whole class. Realistically, I'm just going to have to grade finals by then, but it's still a fair amount of grading for me to do. So 1, turn it in early if you can, because I noticed on the midterm that students who turned it in early got better grades. Not because I was grading them early, but because it showed that you weren't waiting until the last minute. And then 2, realistically, I don't have the space to grade anything a day late because things are due before I have time to things are already due at that point, and I'm not going to be changing your grade afterwards. We will talk about late work for everything other than the final at the end of this video. So if you do have a significant portion of missing work, stay tuned. I can help you not fail this class. Other than that, let's get into our 3 categories of exam questions. I'll give you some pointers on how to answer these well. I'm not going to go line by line through the questions because I'm giving you these, but I will give you some pointers here. So let's use question 1 of multiple choice as an example. The question reads, which of these documents do Briggle and Mitchum name as a foundational text for the concept of free and informed consent in chapter 5 of our textbook? So here's what I want to show you here, is that for every single one of these multiple choice questions, I give you where you can find it. So here it says chapter 5 of our textbook, and it's talking about the concept of free and informed consent. So if you go to chapter 5 and you look for that relevant area, you should be able to find which text they're talking about. And I'll give you a hint that for this one, they name 2 texts as foundational for free and informed consent, but one of them is more important and it is historically earlier. And so that is the one that you are going to want to answer for this question. Other than that, anything else to point out for multiple choice? Not really. I only have one true false question on here. I've noticed looking at our quiz statistics that the true false questions tend to trip up some students. And so I just have one here. And as a note on how to answer this question well, I give you the person that it is asking you about, and that is James Hansen. We had a whole article about him. It's an online piece. I believe it was from just a few weeks ago. And so this is the question of, does he say that the Earth is already above dangerous limits for carbon levels in the atmosphere? You should be able to find that without much issue using things like search terms, or just, what I would do is, just control F dangerous carbon levels while looking at that article. Anything else? Not really. Not for questions 1 through 10. I'll take a sip of water here. For the short answer, I'll say it again. I need 3 to 5 full sentences. That means capitalization, punctuation, subject, predicate, all of that. Bullet points are not accepted. I'll just give you a 0 on that one. You do need to write, just a teeny little paragraph. And I don't need in-text citations for these because I'm asking for that in the essay questions. And again, these are short answer. They're a little bit looser. And what else here? These sometimes span more than one text, and so I can't say, according to this author, what does this person say? I do that for number 5 down here because it's a highly specific question, and so I'm telling you, you can find it in Briggle and Mitchum chapter 10. The rest of these kind of span multiple readings. Number 3 doesn't. Number 3 is just, what is the rationale behind the establishment of tribal IRBs? We had a whole reading about tribal IRBs. I'm asking you to just give me 3 to 5 sentences there. Yeah, I don't think there are any major things to point out on this. Just provide an answer and just say what the texts say about this, say what our course materials have said, things that cause you to engage with your own opinions on these things, your own views. That's all in the essay question. So let's talk about that next. Again, I have 5 prompts for you, and we'll get into them in a second, but I want you to pick one. And also, it's longer this time. It's 500 words. You have plenty of time between when this video gets uploaded and when this paper goes up for you to look at, for you to have time to write all this. I want you to include at least four in-text citations, and the way that I want you to do those are just author and page number, using our course materials for this. If you want to include anything else, great, but you're going to have to give me a link or an actual proper, way that I can look up what you're citing for that, because I will check. I would say stick to the course materials in that way. And here's how this is graded. 2 points for adequate citations, 2 points for a clear understanding of course materials referenced in the essay, as in not just in the prompt, but also in what you've written. Do you understand the thing you're writing about? 2 points. 2 more points for spelling and grammar, so do please edit this, reread it, make sure it makes sense, and then 4 points for the coherency of your argument. What I mean here is how well the essay shows you understand the issue at stake and how well you address those issues in your writing, because this is a philosophy class, and philosophy is all about argumentation. So, here are our 5 essay prompts. First, give 3 definitions of science from our course readings, then explain the major differences between these definitions and show how these differences have implications for ethics. We've looked at a lot of different definitions of science in this class. I'm only asking you to give me 3, show how they interact with the concept of ethics, how ethics applies to them, maybe for a few of them, how they dodge questions of ethics, because a few of them, frankly, do. Number 2, make the case for or against the linear model. What you could do here is go back to your old discussion post and expand on it. I will be grading it a little bit more thoroughly than I grade those discussion posts, but I wanted to put this one in here. 1, because I know you all have opinions about it, and 2, because it gives you a chance to revisit something you've written previously. Then I also have a question on climate change. So how is the response to climate change an ethics issue? And then what climate solutions are the most promising? And what are some potential ethics issues raised by the solutions you've chosen? How do you propose to solve them? Something we've talked about in the 2 videos on climate change are realistically, there are solutions that could harm people, but could be good for the planet. And so how do we make sure that we don't ethically harm human lives while also saving the planet for potential human lives in the future? It's a question you need to engage with. And then 4, choose and examine a case of scientific misconduct from our course readings. Explain where and what ethics were violated. We've looked at a lot of cases of misconduct here. If you wanted to write about any single one of them, pull it in, write an essay about what was wrong, why was it wrong, where did they go wrong, all that. And then I want you to give some examples of how systems could be put in place to prevent similar cases of misconduct in the future. Then the last one is, are there things that scientists or scientific institutions should not research? And so this one is an essay prompt from, and I have it at the bottom, Leon Kass's Forbidden Science article. I think it's a fascinating question, and this one's pretty open-ended. So if you wanted to say, yes, there are things we shouldn't research, and here's what they are, this is your chance to write about it. Other than that, I'm just going to give you this document. Again, these are all the questions you're going to have on the final exam. I would suggest you write things out early, you prepare ahead of time, because, like I've said already, the people who have not done well on the midterm were the people who clearly didn't spend any time in preparation beforehand. And so I'm giving you a few weeks here so that you can get all your ducks in a row, get everything submitted, and be done with the course. Other than that, I'll pull up my 2 little public service announcements. So, first, late work. There are a few of you that have a significant amount of late work. And look, I understand this is an online class. A lot of stuff has come up in everyone's lives in the last year because we're living through a pandemic. We're doing college online. It's hard, it's difficult. And realistically, I don't need to know about the things that have gone difficult in your life. I'm just going to extend grace to you the best that I can. And so, I am accepting all unexcused late discussion posts and quizzes at 70% credit and all late unexcused midterms at 50% credit up until April 26th. So that is a little bit before the final is due. The reason I'm accepting it, the reason I'm cutting it off there is that I'm going to need time to grade these if you turn in, half a semester's worth of work all at once. I want to make sure I give you a fair shake. And so you need to turn all that in before the last day of the semester. So again, April 26th is the last day that I am accepting any late work for this course. For everything other than the midterm, I'm accepting that at 70% credit. And for a late and unexcused midterm, 50% credit. There are a few of you that have emailed me with, valid reasons why you had to skip a discussion post or two, and we've talked about that, and you're doing fine. I've excused the lateness on those for all reasons that you have given me for that, yada, yada. We don't need to talk about that here. And then what else? I'm teaching a class in the fall. I'm teaching 2 sections of world religions, and I'm really excited about it. One, we're going to be in person. Hooray! I'm already vaccinated. Hopefully, you all will be vaccinated at that time, and we can have a real in person, face to face discussion. And I won't just be screaming into the void and talking to my dog. We'll be in person for that. Maybe I'll bring the dog around if I can. For that world religion class, since we are in person, I'm not doing any quizzes, discussion posts, or tests. Instead, we're going to operate on a discussion based model and read the primary texts of the faiths around the world, meaning, hopefully, no textbook. I can't make that promise because the university might require me to have one because they've got deals with publishers and all that, but I'm going to try not to have a required book. Other than that, what's your grade based on for that class if you take it? 2 short papers, one at the middle, one at the end. Weekly journal entries, as in I just want you to reflect on what you've read from these various faiths throughout the week, and participation. Because it's a discussion-based model, the way that I'm going to go to it is that we're going to have the text we're reading that week at the center of the discussion, and we're just going to talk about it. We're going to look at how it relates to different things in the world. It's going to be really neat, I think. And so I would encourage you to take it if you have an interest in world religions. Any other final notes here at the end? I guess what I would say is that I know that this has been a very difficult year for all of us. COVID sucks. And hopefully we are going to have better days in the future. Hopefully we're all going to be in person in the fall. I am here to help you with any issues you might have with wrapping up this class. I can't really help you with stuff outside of that, but if you want me to connect you to university resources for anything, reach out. I'm happy to help. My email is on the document that I'm giving you for this. It's also on the Canvas page. You know how to contact me if you need anything. And that really is it. This is the end of the class. Thank you for taking this with me. Thank you for your participation in discussion groups. A lot of those have been really good. You guys have clearly wrestled with some of these issues quite well, have really thought out what it means to engage in ethics through the medium of science. And I want to thank you for your participation. I want to thank you for bringing your whole heart to these discussions in many cases. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap up this lecture, and I hope to see you in the fall. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good summer.